your king is in check, your pieces are getting captured, and you don't even get a turn to breathe. Today, I've got 6 real game positions where the windmill pattern decides a game. And in position 6, we'll see a windmill from Fischer's famous game of the century. Now, let's start with position 1. Position 1, it's white to play. This is Carlos Torre against former world champion Emanuel Lasker. Played in Moscow 1925. Black's king looks safe on g8. But the dark squares around the king are weak. And white's bishop is ready to support a powerful rook attack. White starts with bishop f6. Yes, white just hanged his own queen. At first, this looks like white is simply attacking the queen, but the reason is something else. Black accepts the challenge and played queen takes h5, but now the real point appears. And the move was rook takes g7 check. This is the start of the windmill. Black's king goes to h8, and now white captures again with discovered check. King g8, again rook g7 check, king h8, and now rook takes b7, discovered check. White is not just checking, white is collecting material with tempo. The pattern is simple. First, the rook gives check, then the king moves, then the rook captures another piece with check, then the same cycle repeats. This is the windmill. And after king g8, he goes again rook g7 check, king h8, rook g5, discover check, and this time he's gonna win the queen back. And eventually, Carlos won against a former world champion, Emanuel Lasker. A discover check keeps forcing the king to move, while the attacking piece keeps winning material. This is one of the most famous windmill examples in chess history. Now, let's go to the next one. Hello everyone, I'm Aniket, an Arena International Master, and this is Chess Tactics episode 23. Today's pattern is the windmill. A windmill happens when one piece repeatedly gives checks, usually by moving away and revealing another attacking piece behind it. The opponent's king keeps getting forced back and forth, while the attacking side wins material, gives mate, or reaches a decisive position. Let's understand it better with a simple example. This is just a simple example to understand the pattern clearly. It's white to play, black's king is trapped, and white has a rook and bishop working together. White starts with rook takes g7 check. The rook gives check, black is forced to move. King h8, and now white captures another piece with the discovered check. So rook takes f7 check, black goes back, king g8, and now rook g7 check. So after king h8, there's a rook g5, discover check again, and this time king is trapped. So the only option black is having is rook f6, and now bishop takes f6, simple, ends the game with a checkmate. And now you understand the pattern. If you enjoy practical chess tactics, subscribe to the channel. Now let's go to the next one. Position 2, it's white to play. This came from Shakhriyar Mamedyarov against Shanava, played in 2012. Black has just made a blunder, which is bishop f5. This looks natural, but black's king position is tactically weak. White starts with queen takes d5, sacrificing his own queen, and forces black to respond. When black captures with queen takes d5, now the windmill begins. Rook takes g7 check, king h8, rook takes f7, discover check. Black tries to block with bishop e5, bishop takes e5. And the point is very simple. If queen takes, then the knight takes. So again king g8, rook g7 check, king h8, and now rook g5, discover check. Black resigned the game. What is the point? The king is out of squares. So the only option black is left with is queen takes e5, and now knight takes e5 will get this position where Shakhriyar is completely winning because he got 2 extra pawns, and that is why Shanava simply resigned the game. Now let's go to the next one. Position 3, it's white to play. This came from Adolf Anderssen against Zukertort, played in 1865. This is one of the most satisfying examples in the episode because white sacrifices the queen and then wins everything by force. So let's pause the video here and try to find the best move for white. In this position, Adolf Anderssen continued the game with queen takes g8, sacrificing his queen. And ideally, black should not accept the queen and he should continue the game with c takes d5, but that's not a natural move. So he tried rook takes g8, and now black completely lost. Now, White's knight starts the windmill. Knight f6 check, and you might be thinking, we are just giving a fork. But no. After king e7, capture the rook first with a check, king e8, come back knight f6 check, king e7, and now you take on d7. White has recovered huge material, and black's position is collapsing. So after bishop takes d7, White played bishop g5 check, and black resigned. A windmill is not always done with a rook. Sometimes a knight can create the same repeated check pattern if the king is trapped. If you are serious about improving and want structured training instead of just solving random puzzles, I work with students personally. The link to train with me is in the description. Now, let's continue. Position 4, it's fight to play. This one is harder because the first move is not just a check. White has to see the entire attacking pattern before sacrificing the queen. This came from Alexander Alekhine, one of my favorites, against Alan, played in London 1928. White starts with knight h4, and his point is very simple. He wants to take on f5, and after rook takes f5, he'll take on knight. He got a pawn, he made a pin, and he's completely winning. And black should continue the game with knight g3. Just do not allow that, and he might be saving the game. But unfortunately, he played bishop a6. He was thinking that he's attacking the queen, and whenever the queen moves, he'll win the rook, and he is gonna win the game. But Alekhine showed why he was the world champion, and he played queen takes e4. He simply sacrificed a queen, and black should ignore the queen and play knight e7. This is the last chance he should play it like this, and maybe he can hold. But unfortunately, he played f takes e4, and now black is completely losing. The windmill starts. So bishop takes e4, check. King is left with only one option. King h8, knight g6, discover check. King h7, knight takes f8, double check. King h8. Now the knight is gonna go back. Knight g6 check again. King h7, and you might be thinking we are just about to draw the game. No, we are just about to deliver a checkmate to the black king. Now, knight e5, discover check, king h8, knight f7, simple checkmate. White keeps forcing the king. Notice the difference from the earlier examples. Here, the windmill is part of a mating attack, not just a material winning sequence. White sacrifices the queen because the king has no freedom, and every move comes with check. Now, let's go to the next one. Position 5, it's white to play. This came from Tigran Petrosian against Boris Spassky in their 1966 World Championship match. This is a special example because it does not lead to a win. It leads to a repetition. But it is still important because it shows the defensive and practical side of the windmill. So let's pause the video and try to find the best move from white. Okay, let's analyze the position first before I reveal the move. The knight is hanging and the bishop is hanging, and pawn on c2 is very strong. So ideally, white must be losing the game. But fortunately, he found a great idea, and after that, the game was draw. And he played bishop d4, sacrificing the knight. And now black is forced to take the knight. Otherwise, whenever the knight will move, it will come with lots of discover attacks, which might lead to simple checkmate. So that is why d takes e5, and now bishop takes e5, king h7, rook g7. Simple check. The rook starts the windmill pattern. King h8. Yes, if you're thinking to capture the bishop, yeah, that is also fine. But unfortunately, you cannot do more than that because the pawn on c1 is about to become a queen. And eventually, you will be losing. So that is why Petrosian knows he's here to draw the game, and he played rook g6, discover check, king h7, rook g7, check again, king h8, rook g6, just simply going back, and after king h7, rook g7 again, the game ends in a draw by repetition. So this is not a winning windmill, but it teaches something very useful. Sometimes the windmill is not used to win material. Sometimes it is used to save the game, force repetition, or stop the opponent from converting an advantage. And that's how Petrosian draw the game. Now, let's go to the final position. Final position, this came from Donald against Bobby Fischer, played in 1956. This game is known as Fischer's Game of Century. I've already covered the full game on this channel, So I'll add a card here. If you want the complete explanation of Fischer's queen sacrifice and full attacking idea, you can watch that video after this one. Here we are only looking at the windmill sequence near the end. Black starts with bishop c5 check. The bishop check starts the final attack. So king f1. Now Fischer continues knight g3 check, another forcing check. White goes king e1, bishop b4 check. Again, the king is forced. King d1, and now bishop b3 check. The checks keep coming. White goes king c1, then knight e2 check. Again forcing. White plays king b1, knight c3 check. The knight joins the attack with tempo. The only option left, king c1, and Fischer finishes with rook c2 checkmate. This is not a pure windmill like Torre versus Lasker, but it teaches the same warning. When every move comes with check, the defender does not get a turn. This is the real power behind windmill tactic. So that's the windmill. The practical lesson is simple. When one piece can move with check again and again, and another piece supports it from behind, the defender may be completely helpless. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe for more practical chess tactics and comment which position was the hardest and tell me what move you found before I revealed it. I will see you in the next one.